Chapter 5 is right around the corner, so here's the things I want to see going forward. Number 1, I've got to say, while playing the OG season, I've loved the kind of soft reset on weapon damage that we've had. A lot of the weapons in Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 in particular had an incredibly high DPS rate. You know, I think of any of the scoped ARs as a great example. They shredded and they were just kind of frustrating to fight against. I've really enjoyed over the last month playing the OG season, having the weapons that are all like significantly less damage rate, in particular assault rifles and SMGs. So going forward, I would love it if we sticked with that style rather than going back to the way higher DPS that we had previously. Another super duper important one is just like materials and how they're balanced on the map. You know, I look at the current season again and, you know, there's a lot of metal and it's very quick harvesting, which is maybe a little bit too much. We've not had like an FNCS this season to really test if there was too much or not enough. But one thing I really liked is like buildings had really high farm rates. So I always feel like if you want to get if you want to refarm somewhere in like a little shack that you found, you'd nearly always be able to get a good amount of brick back from that and always kind of actually gain materials. Whereas I felt like when you tried to do that in a lot of in like Chapter 4 in particular, you often just like lost out on materials while trying to like farm out an area and cover a lot of space. So higher farm rates on things like buildings would be really good in my eyes. I also think just a better balance of materials across the map is also really required, because if you think back again, I'll say back to Chapter 4, like the top left of the map, no metal, slow harvesting brick. Like no one wants to land there, and it made that entire area really poor. And there was other areas that were the complete opposite. Lots of metal, super fast harvesting and things like that. So I think just a better balance on the map overall is something I really want. The next one, which is a big one for tournaments, server performance. Please! I ain't looking for that laggy shit that we saw in Chapter 4, man. Especially with, you know, most FNCS Grand Finals, and then in particular Global Championships, server performance was just so bad. So I hope now that we've had the OG season and things have kind of reset, calmed, Epic sees that everyone's kind of enjoying a very simple map with not that much on it, that they don't just completely flip in the next chapter going forward. I really hope the performance is of a top priority going forward, but I mean, you're just gonna have to wait and see, you know. I will say OG feels really good. You know, I've not played super duper stacked games, but even games that had like 30, 40 move, well, 30, I'm trying to think what the most stacked game I played was, probably like a 30 moving. Felt really good, you know, it wasn't that laggy. And it certainly wasn't that laggy in comparison to what we've just played in Chapter 4. So better server performance going forward, fingers crossed. Here's an interesting one. I've put ranked, and I put ranked mode needs to be better. But I feel like I also kind of disagree with this in a sense. I feel like this would be a full topic that I'll cover in another video. But ranked, like the players that are playing ranked are incredible. I don't mean like skill-wise, I just mean number-wise. You know, people are clearly interested in ranked mode. So whether it's like pub players coming over or just like creators and players grinding it, like clearly a vast majority of players are enjoying playing ranked. I still think it needs a lot of improvements. But one of the things I've actually kind of changed my mind on is the fact that the loot pool from pubs is the same in ranked rather than ranked having the same loot pool as in like tournaments. And I think that's probably actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, for the best. It's probably for the best in a reason that right now tournaments are absolutely thriving. And towards the end of Chapter 4, like before the OG season, it was the same thing. Like we were just having a continual kind of upwards trajectory of competitive in general. Yeah, I think a lot of the reason why ranked has a large player base is that even though it's not a great ranked mode, people are still, of like lower level players, are still believe that it is, and still grind it and play it like it is. And I think the fact that the loot pool is the same as in pubs definitely encourages more people to play that, which then encourages more people to play tournaments as well. I do think though, like for the people at the top, like they need something better to grind for. Even if the loot pool is the same and the system, they're not going to get any stacked games, wherever it is. Like I think the people that at the top need something different, and I think that's like, I don't know what that is, if that's, but well, realistically, just every other game that has a good rank mode has like a top 500 rank. And I think that's just like the way it has to be. Like Unreal rank should not have 100,000 people in it or whatever it is. It should have the top 500. And then Champion and whatever the one after that is, should have a set number of players. You know, I've said this in a couple of previous videos. I think that's really the way forward. You know, it helps both like people, a lot of streamers who want to grind, they'll actually have a reason to try and grind to get to higher ranks. they'll be kicked out of higher ranks as well, because if they're inactive, other people may overtake them. So I think the top needs something to grind for. Probably keep the rest of it the same because it has a lot of players, which is a very good sign. Next part, tournaments. Give me Siphon! I'm so tired of playing solo cash cups without Siphon, man. It seems like Epic are just absolutely content on not putting Siphon back into the game, which, bad idea. Don't like it. Bad idea. Hate it. Hate playing tournaments without Siphon, especially victory cups. So many clips recently of players who just would have won like a victory cup game had they had a little bit of Siphon. It's incredibly frustrating playing tournaments without it. If you're not going to give us Siphon, give us something close to that, please. Like, we need something. It's bad and horrible playing tournaments without it. It can be done, and tournaments have shown that it was, but hopefully the global championships with Siphon showed that tournaments are just better when you gain 50 HP in every elimination. Just is what it is. I think probably FNCS will stick with duos, which if you see in a previous video, I think is probably the best idea. A lot of people wanted trios. I don't think it was necessarily going to be the right play. One thing that's been incredibly good over the last 2 years in particular is just like the consistency of tournaments. So hopefully that keeps going forward. Like, think back, we've had FNCS every season since 2019, since like October 2019 or whatever it was. Incredible consistency. We've had Cash Cups weekly outside of maybe gaps at the start and the end. Lots of other little tournaments are in there. Like, sure, the prize pool is not massive in a lot of these other Cash Cups, but it's consistent, and that brings people in. You always know there's going to be a tournament to play. If it works is another question, obviously. But I think we need to keep that consistency going forward, because I think that's starting to create a lot more of a healthy, like, competitive ecosphere. Like, all content, player base, all seems to be going up in a competitive direction, so keep that going. That's what I hope for Chapter 5. And I also think, continue the victory cups. I made a bunch of suggestions in a proper like main channel video already, but even then I'm just like, victory cups seem to be doing a really good job of getting a lot of players into competitive. So you know what, just keep that up, I guess. I don't like them that much. I'd much rather have like a set lobby one, but seem to be doing a really good job of getting players into competitive. Let me know what you guys want for Chapter 5. Hopefully it doesn't suck monkey balls. Catch you guys later. Peace.